Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And can I make it simple? Let's try to make it simple. Eat real food. Did it come out of the ground? Or was it highly processed? Just real food. So fruits and vegetables, meats, cheeses, legumes, even some things like fermented bread, like sourdough bread. It can be really, really healthy. So eat real food. If you have the funds to eat organic, eat it organic. And if you don't have the funds, follow Clean 15, Dirty Dozen, go look it up on EWG, and start tacking on 15 hours of fasting every day. If all we did was that, we would improve the metabolic health of our country. It's literally that simple.
Why are you not in RFK Jr.'s position?
I'd like to keep myself separate from those. If we're gonna, you don't want to talk about him. I used to. I've heard him speak 1,000 times, like years ago, and he was the environmental guy. I don't think people realize you're going to get me going, but I've been studying politics since I was a little kid. It was the dinner conversation at our dinner table all the time. When I was 18, my mom literally joyfully walked me to the neighbor's house where I could actually vote. And it was like the biggest deal in my family. I think one of the problems we have right now is people haven't seen how politics works in a broader sense. They're choosing their one thing. So Robert Kennedy Jr. was an environmental lawyer. And what he discovered is that mercury was in our rivers, was in our environment, and it was causing brain damage to young children. And then he extrapolated that out into where else is mercury. He was an environmental protector. And now he's not an environmental protector. He's turning himself away from what our president is doing, which is ruining our environment, which is making us the most sick out of everything we're doing. It's worse than ultra processed foods. Air pollution kills more children every day than vaccines do. So the conversation, to your point, has gotten upside down. But if you look at history, if you look at where somebody like Robert Kennedy's roots came from, he was an environmental lawyer until now. And I don't know if it was power. I don't know what it was.
Remember when he posed with the McDonald's? That made me sad. Like a part of me died inside when he posed with that McDonald's. It made me really sad.
There's also a lot of conversation right now about lead in our soil and the degradation of our topsoil to not have nutrient-rich foods, as well as other chemicals that are just in the soil itself. So it sounds like, really, yes, you want to reduce load, but the only other option is to increase our detox pathways.
You got it. You got it. Increase. So let's talk about detox pathways. So when you go into these fasted states, and by the way, the other thing I want to point out is everybody can afford money and time to go 15 hours without food once they train and they understand. So one of the things that I have been deeply trying to understand is how do we help the single mom in the South who is working 2 jobs, and she has the only thing that she can do is drive through McDonald's because it's cheap, it's timely, and that's what she's doing. So what can we give her? Let's teach her how to fast 15 hours. She can do that. And so that she's starting to get rid of these toxins at a cellular level. Then you bring up detox pathways. We need to make sure she's moving every day. Is she increasing her circulation? If we can get her sweating every day, maybe she just does like a 20-minute jog around the track at lunch break, so that she's sweating. If we can get her sleeping, because when we sleep, our brain actually shrinks and our cerebral spinal fluid goes up and washes toxins out. If we can get her having daily bowel movements, which is harder than you would think especially when you're eating those toxic foods, now her natural detox pathways are getting rid of the accumulation of the toxins that she's getting from her food. the example I use is during the pandemic, I was reached out to by a beautiful high school principal who was watching my YouTube channel. And this was September 2020. So we were started into the pandemic. And so she wanted to bring me on to talk about to help her teachers understand how they could keep their immune system up. I was so beyond excited because I come from a family of teachers, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can give back to these teachers. So I give this really fancy presentation on like, here's the food you should eat, here's the supplements you should take. And at the end of the whole lecture, I'm like, wow, I felt really good about it. And this brave man raises his hand and he says, I really appreciate what you just said, but if I'm looking at a jar of peanut butter and you're telling me I need to eat the jar of peanut butter with the better oil than the one that has the toxic oil, that is an $8 difference. And that is $8 I do not have. Another woman said to me, I get to my classroom at 4:30 in the morning. I work straight through. I don't take a lunch break so that I can sit with my students and be of help to them. I leave at 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm exhausted, so I drive through McDonald's. And I realized in that moment that it's become so complicated that a tool like fasting is such a beautiful answer that everybody can take the calling on.